Hello, one and all. This is WellArmedWithTacos, and welcome to Stories from Sector 10, the basically 40k podcast. There'll be some fantasy eventually, I promise. At least I hope so, because I want to play fantasy. But, welcome to Stories from Sector 10. I played this game on Sunday. It is currently Monday, so that would be yesterday. By the time you'll be seeing this, it will be Tuesday. This game was my Necrons, again, because Necrons are the only codex I have worth playing right now, against Imperial Guard. Not Dark Eldar. And right off the bat, let me tell you how much more enjoyable this game was, because I was playing against an army that wasn't Dark Eldar. Ugh. So, Necrons versus Imperial Guard. The Guardsmen brought a slightly anti-typical Guardsman list. He only had one tank. Only one. He had a Manticore. That was his only vehicle. But he had a bunch of Guardsmen, and he had a bunch of veterans, and even some Stormtroopers, and he had a whole slew of heavy weapons platform teams. So he wasn't missing out on the heavy weapons division. They just were armed and squishier humans instead of larger vehicles, which, he's been playing a while, against a Necron army, that's probably just sheer instinct to not have his vehicles get goffed to death. Granted, goff doesn't work that way anymore, but... So he hoarded up. He didn't vehicle up on me. I played, in response, I played a very stereotypical Necron list, not really in response, but just how I wanted to play, because... This is my first time playing against Imperial Guard in this edition, and I didn't know what to really expect. So, I brought a stereotypical Necron list and just decided to see what would happen. I brought my 2 units of warriors, my immortals, my overlord, and my cryptek to beat my standard battalion, because I need that. And then I brought a unit of flayed ones. I brought 2 more units of warriors because I wanted to bring more warriors against an army that hopefully couldn't just outright slaughter them. And I finally brought my first 8th edition C-Tan for the first time in 8th edition because I wanted to see how the C-Tan could work. And no, I am never going to field a C-Tan against Dark Eldar because I'm not insane. So I brought my C-Tan. And there was something else I also brought. Oh yes, I brought the Triarch Stalker, the Spider Walker. The Imperial Guard player was very on edge the second he saw C-Tan, because of course, as I said before, he had been playing for a while and he remembers what C-Tan were like. I too remember what C-Tan were like, which is why I don't often bring them, but luckily they're not what they used to be. So, this was a very enjoyable game where we were this particular Imperial Guardsman player is an incredibly nice guy. I've known him for years, and he doesn't play 40k as much as I would like him to, because it's always fun to play against him. And he unfortunately doesn't tend to win a good portion of his games, similar to me. So it's always nice to play. I think he enjoys playing against me just because he knows, not to say I'm an easy win, but to say that I'm not going to cheese it against him. I brought a C-Tan, but I don't cheese. Like, trust me, C-Tans are not cheese right now. At least not mine. At least mine certainly wasn't. So, I could barely tell you what he brought because I don't know enough about Imperial Guard. He had a command squad, I think 3 heavy weapons teams. He had veterans. I remember what he told me was he filled out an entire battalion excluding fast choices. So he had 3 HQs, 6 troops, 3 elites, and 3 heavies. And then he brought a patrol detachment as well to fill out the rest of it. So he had a lot, but it's a guard army. We played 75 power points. I forgot to mention. It's a guard army. I expected a lot of dudes. And he only brought the one vehicle, the one Manticore, which he's currently very fond of. I can't blame him. It's a good vehicle. I can't really say what went on between the turns, because there's not a lot to say. It's a very standard 40k game, but it's very nice to play against something that is Dark Eldar, which again will be the main point of this video. Basically, what ended up happening was we took down a war deployment. I deployed on one side of the table, he deployed on the other. We spread out our army, and over time, the right side of the table became mine, and the left side of the table became his. I killed everything on the right, he killed everything on the left. Literally, I had nothing over there, but he literally had nothing over on the right half. So, we just basically changed deployments. Not like opposite facings, but we went hammer and anvil on each other. It was a very close game. It ended turn 5 with him winning only by points, which again is the best way an opponent can win. He won by points. We had an eternal war mission, so it wasn't even tactical objectives. It was just him happening. Well, we held the same number of objectives. He just happened to get Slay the Warlord and First Blood. I did not gain Slay the Warlord, and obviously you can only get First Blood once, so he got that as well. So he did win by points, and considering it was Eternal War, which means no cards or anything like that, that is the best possible win. Nobody got screwed over in any one particular way. It was great, and I could tell it was really great for him to finally have a hard-earned actual victory instead of what he normally has to deal with, which is players being obnoxious against him. I'm not one of those kind of guys at all, and I'm happy to say if the game had continued going, it was a very real chance I could have won. Very real chance. By the time the game was over, most of his army was dead, but most of mine was dead too. But my Cryptic was still alive. I still had a unit of warriors unscathed. I had the unit of flayed ones who had suffered some casualties, but were still getting up. And he did a lot of damage to my Stalker in one turn, but then basically ignored it because I claimed that side of the table. And by the time the game ended in turn 5, my Stalker had managed to regenerate back down to just 3 wounds. So I basically had an unwounded Stalker, my warriors, my Cryptic, and my flayed ones. And then I had a second unit of warriors parked somewhere on an objective. So, like I said, I had a decent chance of winning because he didn't have that much either. It would just be a verdict of whether or not I could finish prying him off the rest of his objectives. So, it was a very enjoyable game. He brought Ogren. His Ogren flew out of his deployment plane that I don't remember the name of. I think it was a Valkyrie, but I'm not sure. Probably a Valkyrie. They came out of the Valkyrie and assaulted my unit of Immortals. My Immortals died. His turn 1, which makes me sad, but that's what happens to Immortals these days. People know what they are capable of, and they don't let them live. So I'm actually considering just stopping bringing Immortals, because I can bring 10 warriors for less points and bring 10 Immortals for more points, and then if I don't go first, watch my 10 Immortals just die. So I don't even know if Immortals are good anymore, just because people really target them, and they don't have the durability to be targeted. They don't. They're Space Marines. They die like Space Marines. I take 5 wounds, needing 3 up dice. 3 Immortals will die every time. Every time. They die like Space Marines. So I don't even know if they're worth breaking anymore. Like I said, my Lord with them, with the orb, with the Resurrection Orb that I didn't pay for because it's PowerPoints, and it's still proof whenever I say you're playing matchmates, never ever buy a Resurrection Orb, because again, turn 1 he just killed all my Immortals, and it's like, well, that would have been like a 25 or 35 point sink I never got to use. Well spent. But his Ogren came down, because my Lord was right there, but he charged the Immortals, and he's like, yeah, my Ogren did something, and I got to tell him, your Ogren are going to die now, and he's like, no, and I'm like, yes. And then I charged him with my Lord. I played a Tropic Strike. I said, you don't get your 4 Bivals, and I may be -4, so pick up your Ogren. he was happy that they killed the Immortals, and I told him, don't worry, they've already killed my Linchpin unit, and the Immortals really were on that list. They've already killed my Linchpin, so you don't have to worry about it, but very, very entertaining game, and it's so refreshing to play something that isn't against Dark Eldar. However, the problem that I'm in right now is my Necrons are now 5-1. That would be 5 losses, 1 win. And the 1 win was the one I had against Tau, where he scooped turn 1. So, if you can even count that a win. Because, like, I don't even know if that game was officially determined. It was a full-on surrender, but if we had kept going, he could have won. So I don't even know if I can count that as a win. But if I don't count that as a win, I'm 5-0 or even 6-0. But I am 5-1 with my Necrons, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But unfortunately, the way I look at my options right now, I don't have many other choices to play. I have 5 armies for 40k. I'll go through them all. I have Space Marines, which I'm never going to play anymore because Space Marine, the new Space Marine armies really kind of force you to play Primaris, and I don't play any Primaris stuff, so it's a fault army. I can't do it. I have been playing Chaos Marines from time to time, but I lack some of the specialized Chaos choices, and I don't have the actual Chaos Codex. I just have it in a PDF because I've only played it once, and I feel a little guilty about trying to play it again without actually purchasing a Codex, which I haven't done yet. But every time I think to do it, I think, am I even going to play them? Which is a decision I haven't completely made up yet. So, effectively not playing my Marine army. The Tau Codex sucks. I haven't played it personally yet, and I'm going to have to someday, probably this weekend. But for the time being, the Tau Codex sucks, so I'm really not keen on playing that one. The Necron Codex is out, and I've been playing that one, and I feel like it has the opportunity to do well. It just hasn't been doing well for me, so I've been playing Necrons. And my last 2 armies, which are Gene Stealer Cults and Orcs, don't have codexes yet. They're stuck on the index. Their rules are fine, but their prices are simply too expensive compared to the rest of the armies. Right now, 10 boys are the same points as 10 Kabalite warriors. And in that kind of point system setting, you can't live. You can't do anything. And before you think that's just Dark Eldar being, I'm saying 10 Fire Warriors are the same point cost. 10 Fire Warriors are 4 points, and 10 boys are 5. Right now, the armies are just too cheap. And don't get me started on Gene Stealer Cults, which are even more expensive. I have no doubt, once their actual codexes come out, they will receive point cost adjustments just like all the other books. But for the time being, they're simply too expensive to play. Simply much too expensive to play. So, see you guys later. This is WellArmedWithTacos signing off. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.